would save the self-reflection piece till after you talk to the coach.
Yep.
So that you have a framework about what the coaches saw versus what your perception was, and you can figure out where the gaps are.
Right.
Because what happens is if you try to do the self-reflection afterwards, right after your agreement process, you're going to be harder on yourself, and you may miss, oh, well, you were right there on the cusp, and we just had to make a choice between two people.
Right. And you might hear that I'm terrible and you don't respect me and I'm about to transfer. That's what you hear because you don't wait.
So I would wait for the self-reflection. Go talk to coach so they can give you an assessment of what you did, and then you can do your assessment of what you did.
Right.
Well, I feel like I did all this stuff. Well, it wasn't to where the coach needed it to be, so these are the areas that you need to improve.
I think when I look back, I was a pretty good athlete, obviously, but I remember struggling with pieces of basketball that other kids got. I was super athletic. I could dribble and it was anything, but when it came, and I was probably a little bit before my time, like that lockdown kind of defender, and I'd rather be like a Rodman and right too. But I think I didn't actually just watch what other people were doing to make the team sometime, or watch what they were doing, and I went on my own and got ahead of myself, and I'm not gonna go to these extra workouts because I'm working out on my own.
Oh yeah, we're getting that.
You know, so I think we are in an era now that you can literally, it's easier to jump right back into correcting what happened, you know. But back then we didn't have this stuff. We're going to talk about the stuff that you can do. It's kind of like you just didn't have it, you know. And then some people either stop or they didn't know what to do. You know?
Well, we're in this era where there's information literally at your fingertips.
Yes. Yep.
Everything that you need to know or everything that you want to learn is out there for you to learn in one way or the other. It doesn't really cost you anything except your time. And we are also seeing more and more kids who come to us to play basketball. They do not watch basketball. And they don't watch games. They don't watch they'll watch highlights, but they won't watch anything that led up to the highlights. And the stuff in between the highlights is the stuff that they need to know how to do. And so that's what we run into is kids that have this grasp, you know, this kind of vague grasp on highlight reel stuff, but they don't have any of the boring stuff out there, and they don't really focus on any of the boring skill work. And there's videos and there's all kinds of resources out there. You know, there's more coverage of basketball than ever. You can find basketball. Even now the NBA season's over. There's the WNBA, the Olympics are coming up. You're going to see basketball pretty much all summer.
Right.
And kids don't want to watch it.
No.
We can't, even in season, we're like, you know, Mo will give assignments like, go watch college basketball. Go watch college basketball. It's going to be a weekend full of basketball games. The kids won't sit down and watch it. They just want the highlights of the game and not any of the actual gameplay, the stuff in between the highlights.
Right, and well, and you talked about it a few podcasts ago. We talk about this almost daily. It's almost, it's, you know, the journey is A to Z, right?
Right.
Like it's almost like they want Z immediately, and there's you never thought about B. They want to skip C, D, and they want to skip all that.
Right.
And then they're upset when we tell them like, "Hey, man, you're probably at, you know, G right now."
Right.
No, I got it because I beat everybody in my neighborhood and I'm the best one. And I talk about this all the time. It's funny, but it's true. Everybody in your neighborhood is a skateboarder.
Right.
And they skateboard. So you beat them at a basketball. You were supposed to beat those guys at basketball. That doesn't prepare you for basketball.
Well, the idea that we're going to skip all the steps, we're going to skip the entire process and get right to the results is right up there with the win without competing thing.
Yep.
Where I don't want to put in any of the work. I just want the results. And I expect to have the same results for no work.
Right.
You're trying to bake the same cake with half the ingredients. And what happens is we see a lot of people that they don't want to necessarily go through the process of learning. They just want the knowledge, you know, distilled down, put in a blender and injected right into their brains without actually having to do any of the work of learning. They're
Right.
trying to skip to the results. And so that's what happens. And that's the danger when you don't give yourself the time to grieve. You don't give yourself the time to process, and you don't do the information seeking, and then you don't do a little bit of self reflection. These are the steps that you skip.
Right.
And those that will set you up to fail the next time you try, because you're going in with a plan that's not fully informed with what you actually need to improve on.